Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
Today on Earth Focus, a look at America's toxic waters with veteran journalist Hedrick Smith. Smith speaks about his new film, Poisoned Waters, with Earth Focus correspondent Miles Benson. Coming up on Earth Focus. Six-legged frogs and chicken waste in our waters are part of Hedrick Smith's new documentary film, Poisoned Waters. Here's a look.
When you see scientists like Vicki Blazer cutting open fish, finding intersex in the male fish, seeing high levels of fish kills, seeing immune systems disrupted, seeing other damage to the fish, is that a warning to you potentially about human health?
Oh, absolutely. The warning not just from the smallmouth bass in the Potomac, but from amphibians all across the country. You have frogs with 6 legs, hermaphroditic frogs, male frogs with ovaries, female frogs with male genitalia. These are the canaries, the modern canary in the mine, that we haven't been paying enough attention to.
So many new chemicals have emerged lately that scientists and regulators are playing catch-up to industry, trying to spot which chemicals they think pose new dangers in our water. Are we facing a long-term slow-motion risk that we don't recognize because it's not readily apparent?
We are. There are 5 million people being exposed to endocrine disruptors just in the mid-Atlantic region, and yet we don't know precisely how many of them are going to develop premature breast cancer, are going to have problems with reproduction, going to have all kinds of congenital anomalies of the male genitalia, things that are happening. We know they're happening, but they're happening at a broad, low level so that they don't raise the alarm in the general public.
Do you know what the safe levels are?
In most cases, we don't know what the safe levels are, and some of the new science is suggesting that levels that we used to think were safe may in fact not be safe.
For humans?
For humans. So we're finding in certain cases that much lower levels than we previously thought were a problem may in fact have the potential to harm at least some segment of the population.
Hedrick Smith is one of America's most distinguished journalists and authors. He is a Pulitzer Prize-winning former reporter and editor for the New York Times and Emmy Award-winning producer and correspondent for the PBS show Frontline. He shares his thoughts on America's toxic waters with Earth Focus correspondent Miles Benson.
Hedrick Smith, you've made a powerful film, Poisoned Water. Didn't we create an agency of the federal government to put a stop to that problem maybe 30 years ago? What happened?
We made a lot of progress. EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, did a lot of good things. They focused on industrial pollution. They went after the Cuyahoga River, which was bursting into flames, the LA smog, the algae in the Potomac River. And then it kind of got off our radar screen. And what happened was voluntarism began to replace enforcement. New chemicals came along, population continued to grow, new kinds of pollution came along, and we've gotten way behind the curve. Science isn't up with industry, the regulators aren't up with the danger, and most of us in the public, myself included when I started the reporting here, have no idea how serious the dangers are. To us, to our kids, as well as to the fish and the whales and wildlife.
Why did you make this film?
I'm a water guy. I love the water. I sail, I swim, I hike on the water, I crab. I'm not a very good fisherman, but water is important to me for fun, and I also am aware that it's important to me to live on. I was curious about what happened. I heard bad things were going on. I really didn't know, and it came as a terrible shock to me. At the end of reporting this film, I'm not sure I understand how our great-grandchildren are going to live on the face of the earth unless we change the way we're living.
Who are the bad guys?
Everybody. We're all the bad guys. That's one of the hardest things to learn. The kinds of things we use to pesticides and herbicides in our yards, the cleaning agents we use in our homes, some of the metals in the toothpaste we put in our mouth, some of the chemicals in the shampoo we put on our hair, the suntan lotion and other stuff we put on our faces to protect ourselves from the sun. Many of those products have things in them called endocrine disruptors. That is, they disrupt the normal functioning of the body, the fish body, the alligator body, the frog body, and the human body. And if they build up, scientists are now telling us, What we're seeing is evidence of higher rates of breast cancer among women, lower sperm count, lower reproduction among men, more congenital defects among babies. So it's a very serious connection that has been made in recent years. There are 80,000 industrial chemicals in use. The original laws and regulations setting up the EPA regulated only about 4,000 or 5,000 of them.
Is anybody in the world doing a better job of trying to control this problem than we are?
I think there's some evidence that the Europeans do a better job. The Europeans have a system by which if scientists raise a question about a new chemical that's going into a product and that's getting into the environment, they raise a red flag and the regulators say to the company that's produced the product, you can't put that on the market until you prove it's safe. In America, the company can put the product on the market and it's up to the scientists to prove it's dangerous. Now, there's more of a preventative, proactive, prophylactic, if you will, approach in Europe, and there probably are better results there. Overall, the kinds of problems we're seeing in the waters of Chesapeake Bay or Potomac River or the Puget Sound or the Mississippi River are reflected in river systems around the world, in the Gulf of Finland, in the Gulf of Siam, and the Gulf of Aden. You know, you're going to see those same kinds of things, particularly when you have heavy concentrations of people, industry, economic activity, and agriculture as well.
Rick Smith, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world. To learn more, visit linktv.org.